Yeah, it is really nice because I do a lot of calls outside, so I'm like, let's just not do all these runs. But all right, so hi, Elena. So what do you guys want to talk about today? Anything on your heart to start with? I love just for this to be a discussion, so not for me to necessarily lead per se.
No. Okay, so I have a question.
Yeah.
Or maybe something we can talk about, because I did that 21 day with Josh Coates, and I think Melanie said she does it she does her invites Sundays through Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
But then I thought it said Monday through Thursday, and then you take Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Friday to do your follow-ups, and then Saturday, Sunday to rest. So I was supposed to do it yesterday, my invites, but my day was crazy, and then I had to babysit my grandson, and I couldn't come in here to do my work. So now, and then today I'm not really feeling good.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sorry.
And so I'm feeling kind of like I want to do my invites, and I kind of did a few follow-ups right now, but I don't feel up to actually doing all the work right now. So I don't even know if that's a question or if that's just me venting.
What's like your overall concern with that?
I'm sorry?
What's your overall concern with that?
Just with it affecting my overall goal of reaching Diamond, and actually adding coaches that are, wanting to work the business, and, because most of the coaches that I had, they didn't do anything with it and quit.
So are you kind of worried about the past couple days just affecting you more in the long term?
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to move because the kids are coming home and I don't want them seeing me because it's all over if they see me. They're just getting home with Mike. But everyone else can chime in too if they have other ideas. But in my mind, I just think, if there's a couple days that you have to miss, it's not the end of the world. On those really tough days, when I had E. coli for 2 weeks, and when the kids were super sick over the winter, I just did the most important things each day. And it might not have been everything on my tracker, but it was just the good thing I locked the door. She's trying to come in. Hi, honey, I'll be out a little bit later, okay? Hi, honey. Here. Come here. All right. So I don't know. That's just my mindset. But yeah, I wouldn't be going more than a week of not doing anything. At least show up each day and do what you can, even if those numbers are a little bit smaller. Anyone else want to add to that? I'm going to mute myself.
Yeah, I can. I just had last week when Elena was really dealing with a lot of sleep regression stuff, and I don't even really know what was happening, but my daughter wasn't really sleeping through the night, and there was 3 nights consecutively where I was up multiple times in the night. I had to get up super early with her. I was just exhausted. And those days I was I'm giving myself grace, because during nap time, it was I could totally do my usual hustle, but I just was so physically exhausted. And I was I know that my workouts are important for me mentally. So that was something I prioritized. And then really just sat down and looked at what do I need to do to hit my goals this month. Because really the way that I set up my goals each month are to get me to the goals that I have that are long-term goals. And so I think for me in those moments, it's more of I know that inviting and relationship building is important. but life is always going to happen, right? Like, so what are you doing in those moments to make sure you're still staying on track? I mean, and it's really about what's important to you that's going to make you feel less overwhelmed in the long term. For me personally, if I don't do any invites, I feel like I'm not doing my business, because to me, the relationship building and the inviting is the core of the business. Like, if you're not talking to people about this, then how are you going to get anybody on your team, right? So I made myself do at least 5 invites every day on those days still, even if I was doing nothing else business related. So like, it was just like a quick, like, I could spend, right before bed, I could sit down and knew that my daughter was asleep finally, and I could sit down and send out 5 invites and be like, okay, at least I sent out 5 invites today. So that might look different for you, but like, I think really figuring out like, what is your non-negotiable each day, and always sticking to that, and pick like at least one thing that you're like, I am not going to give this up today, no matter what happens, because that, I think the consistency of that is going to be ultimately what's most important. And that's just me personally. I've kind of had to play around with what that looks like for me too. But I think the inviting and the relationship building are your 2 core components.
Yeah, and even if it's like just a few a day, at least you're still getting some in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and before the Josh Coates thing, I didn't really, okay, so I planned to do all my invites every day, but some days I didn't get them in, so then I would like work on the weekends
Mm-hmm.
to do them. But now I'm trying to leave more time open for me on the weekends, like especially on a Saturday. So I'm trying to follow the Sunday through Thursday inviting, and then Friday follow up.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I've been testing that out too, because I just did the 21-day challenge as well. And what I've noticed is I'm a lot more focused because of that. Like, I'm a lot more focused doing my invites, because I tend to be a little bit like scatterbrained with things. Like, when I'm doing my inviting or connecting or follow-ups, like, I tend to want to do like a few of each at a time. So I'm not just sitting there doing all my invites, all my follow-ups, all my connects. And so splitting the days really helped me with that, because I don't feel so overwhelmed with like all of the things. But I know what you mean. I think it's important that, so for something I noticed, just speaking to like last week when I was trying this out and dealing with like everything with my daughter, is like, how are you doing your makeups? Like, I think it's one thing to say, okay, Sunday through Thursday, I'm doing my inviting. And how many invites are you doing every day? Like, what's your usual number?
well, I've been trying to get out like 25, but with okay, so I have my little tracker here. So 25 to coaching, and then I started doing like 10 to 20 on the challenge groups.
And are you successfully doing that every single time?
When I sit down to do it, yeah.
Okay.
Is that 50? Is that, so am I doing the math right? I'm not a math person, but is that like 40 to 50 invites per day then?
Yeah, when I sit down to do it, yeah.
Here's kind of my thought, and everyone can like chime in, but this is such a loaded thing. So I just want to say, before I say what I'm about to say, you have to have autonomy in your business, like do whatever you want. But just speaking from experience, here's what I've noticed. So in the beginning, as a new coach, you typically like have a little bit higher numbers while you're trying to figure out who you are. You're becoming the more confident, positive version of you, which then translates to you finding like higher quality people, the whales and not the minnows, like Keith talks about. And so over time, your numbers then become a little bit less, because those smaller numbers have higher quality people in them. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So a new coach has to make up in numbers what they lack in skill and aura and vibrance and confidence, right? But so the faster you can just really hone in, and I know you're doing this, Connie, to like really hone in on who you are. So like doing personality, personal development, doing like the social media, like speaking to your avatar, branding yourself. Like there's a whole bunch of trainings in the Bod Squad for that. And the more you can like speak to your kind of person, like Josh Coates talks about using power words and speaking to the rhinos and the rubies, right? Because I want to give you guys a little hint that any person who has success in this business, I'm trying to think of anyone who is successful in this business who doesn't have this trait. They are either ruby to begin with, or they acquire ruby over time. And I can name off like a bunch of coaches in my mind right now who have been with me for years where they didn't start that way. They were more like a pearl sapphire, but and they struggled. But then over the course of 2, 3, 4 years, they grew those ruby tendencies. And that's when things got real. And that's when things started happening in their business. And I love that Josh Coates basically says that. He says, are you talking to your rhinos? Are you using those power words such as, I'm looking for people who love a challenge, who are goal driven, who have big goals and need a place to put their goals, who are looking to make an impact. Like you're using those very strong words, and it like starts with you, you know? So anyways, I kind of went on a tangent with that, but it does circle back to, you don't necessarily have to do a lot of invites, you guys. I don't think I've ever sent out that many. I don't think I've ever sent out any more than 25 invites per day. I'm basically telling coaches right now, like, I would rather you guys send out 10 super high quality invites to 10 super high quality people, and like make it personalized and heartfelt, and actually spend just as much time, if not more time, building that relationship, instead of just aimlessly like making it rain with non-meaningful invites that actually push people away. Like, I would rather you guys do that, because you're not only going to see more success, but you're also going to enjoy the process more and not get burnt out and not feel so behind when these sick days happen. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Can I say something too on that? So that was something that I don't even remember when you said that to me. It's been a really long time, but like there was a call that I had with Brooke, just like a mentorship call that was a while ago. And I remember her saying that, and it was funny because I was actually thinking about that when I was like reevaluating everything last week with everything going on in my life. And that's exactly why I picked the number 5, because I was like, yes, my goal before that was anywhere from like 15 to 20 invites a day, but that wasn't getting me anywhere. And I think that it says a lot that it wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, if you're sending out 15 to 20 invites, just like Brooke said, if they're not high quality invites, then why would somebody, if they're not feeling valued, if they're not feeling like you care about them, or if it's just some random cold invite, like they're not going to want to join you, or majority of people won't, at least. And so I actually flopped like my numbers. Basically, I've been doing anywhere between 25 to 40 add to networks and connections every day. So just like first connects with somebody, like somebody brand new, finding somebody new on Instagram and connecting with them and saying, hey, like, I love your page. You know, I wanted to reach out because I noticed that you're a mom like me, like wanted to connect, you know, where are you from? And just kind of like getting the conversation going with them. And I've actually started to notice a lot more people, you know, engaging, responding and things like that. And then once those people start to engage with you, then you can feel it out for, you know, the invite and things like that. But until you really have people who you found that are your people, it doesn't really matter if you're sending an invite. If it's not, you know, if your goal is to build a business with this, Connie, like, you don't want to just invite anybody to coaching. Like, you want to invite the people that you want to be on your team to coaching. And it's just like starting your own business, you know, like you don't want to just hire anyone off the street to be employed by you. You want to hire high quality people that are going to represent your name. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Especially with all the coaches that quit on me already.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Like, if you're like, there's always going to be people that quit, you know? So, but are you going to hire, essentially, are you hiring people that are going to quit on you and then leave their people hanging. I mean, obviously, you know, on our team, I feel like we do a really good job at making sure people aren't left hanging or, you know, in those circumstances. But like, you don't want people to feel like, oh, well, I signed up with this person and like, they just left. Like, why did they leave? You know, that's when people kind of start to question their journey and like, why am I staying? You know, and it's like, I think there's those rare birds out there that stick with it regardless. But I think it says a lot when even your upline coach, sorry, I think I got cut out. I was getting a phone call. But like, if your upline coach quits, it kind of starts to make you feel like, well, what happened? Like, why did they quit? You know? And so just remembering that, like, what is your goal with this? What are your, Josh talked a lot about like picking your 3 words. Like, what are your 3 words? And are you out there every single day talking about your words of the people you want to attract? Are you sharing your story? Are you, you know, attracting the people that are your people and the people that you want to work with? And are you connecting with them? Because that's what it is. It's just the relationship building, and the invite kind of comes along with that. You know what I mean? Like, it'll just come naturally at some point in the conversation. But I think like for so long personally, I was worried about like, oh my gosh, I got to get out my invites. I've got to get out my invites. And I've noticed a huge shift just mentally for me of, like Brooke said, less burnout, because I'm not pressuring myself so much to do the invite as much as I am to just get out there and talk to people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I have a question too, Connie, and the reason why I want to ask this is because I think a lot of coaches find themselves in this mindset, kind of like you were saying, like the coaches that I did have quit on me. So I want to ask you, and really I'm asking everybody when I ask this, but how many coaches have you technically onboarded who say they want to build any sort of business, like essentially anybody beyond a discount coach?
Maybe like 4, 5 really.
Yeah.
And I didn't do anything with it.
Yeah. And you know what's so cool about that, Connie? So let me give you the good news. The good news and the bad news. So the good news is that the bad news is that 1 out of 10 coaches is going to do anything with this business. So the good news, what's the good news?
I still have a cup half empty.
Yes. So you haven't even worked your numbers yet to get that one person. So this whole time you're probably beating yourself up and thinking you're like a failure as a coach, like whatever our inner mean girl says, right? Because I see it happen all the time. And then I ask that question and they're like, well, if I like 6 or 7, and I'm like, well, you got 3 more to go. So, and again, like you guys, I know you hear me and Keith say that all the time, and I got this from Keith, it's not so much what you have to do, it's who you need to become. And I know people just want to slap me upside the face every time I say that, but trust me, 1 year from now, 5 years from now, it will all make sense. And Christina said the same thing. She was like, it took me 7 years to get to 15-star diamond. And she said, it's kind of longer compared to the average person who's going all in with this business. But she's like, looking back, I wasn't really worthy of that title. Like I had so much growing and maturing to do to be able to achieve that, because nobody hits 15-star, 5-star, even 2-star diamond without that like inner growth that has to happen. And that's the uncomfortable stuff. And that takes time. Most people aren't willing to give it time. And then they quit 5 minutes before the miracle. So I'm just proud of you, Connie, for continuously going and just continuously going, because as you continue to go, and please, whoever is listening, you guys who can relate to this, post below if you experience the same thing in your business where you had to sift through 10 people and maybe you found your business builder on the 10th person, or maybe you were like Allie, Allie, I don't know what your coach Taylor is doing, but I feel like Allie found her business builder coach like right away. And so it just depends on the person. So, Allie, you unmuted yourself. Were you going to say something?
Oh, no, I heard my name, so I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, Taylor. But Connie, I totally understand where you're coming from. Yeah, the last couple days, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. So I've been like really, it's been like flaring up and it's been really bad. So honestly, I've had to like slow way down in my business. But just like Naomi said, just trying to like get those invites out and really, yeah, trying to like build those relationships first. I've like loved that. I love like connecting with women, just having those conversations first before I kind of just like go, hey, like send the invite. So yeah. So just know that you're not alone, Connie. But I love how, like you keep going and you're not going to give up. So that's the most important part.
Thank you. Sorry about your Crohn's disease too. That's horrible.
Thank you. Yeah. We'll get it figured out.
Yeah.
It always gets better.
I love that perspective. Rachel Sargent, something that's helped me is I plan to work 5 days a week, so I have 2 backup/catch-up days. I also only work 8 to noon on the weekends to really hone in on income producing activities and being more focused. That's awesome. What are those, Rachel, for you, what have you really noticed to be income producing? Like, what are those activities for you?
For me, it's a lot of like just building connections and like having those conversations like about things I relate to with people. Cause like I love to go hiking, I love camping, like, and I relate to people on those types of things, or dog owners, dog moms, people that are house hunting right now, and that kind of stuff. Cause that's like the stage of life that I'm in right now. And I connect with those people, and I've found just by like building that relationship, a lot of the times our conversation, because I do a lot of like active type things, like it'll go into fitness, or like we'll be talking about like I'm a server, so like if I meet a server, we'll be talking about like how we always end up eating at the restaurant like after work, and like then it like goes into nutrition, or like I'm on a debt-free journey, so like I'll talk, like a lot of times income will come up, or like I'll ask somebody about their job, and like I just get into those like pockets where like it can easily turn into an invite, just based on like building that relationship first and then like getting to know them more. Then it just kind of naturally leads into an invite.
Yeah, that's something I need to work on.
But I totally had to change my mindset. Like I used to go in, like Brooke knows this, I dreaded invites. Like I hated it. Like it was not fun for me. It didn't feel like me. Like doing the whole copy paste thing just did not seem like me. And I like had to change my mindset to like make it fun, find ways to make inviting fun for myself, like make it into a game, or just by like enjoying like the conversations and the relationship building, because that's something I like to do. Like I'm an outgoing personality. Like I love to like talk to people. I could talk for days. And so like getting to know other people that are like that, like it just makes it a lot more enjoyable for me to then invite those people.
Mm-hmm. And that's duplicatable, right? Like just being a real human. Most people don't want to duplicate cold messaging, you know? So, I mean, at the end of the day, again, autonomy. I'm going to encourage autonomy. Like, do what is income producing, do what feels good. At the end of the day, like, you're going to attract your people. Some people love to be cold messaged and invited and they don't care. Some of, everyone probably has a different story on here with how they got started. And some of you probably were a cold invite. Was anybody a cold invite on here? Or like, how'd you guys get started? Rachel was?
Well, because my coach had quit, and then so I got moved to you, and then I just got your email saying like 4 was coming out. I just got your email, and it was just the right time, like perfect timing for me, that I just was like, yep, count me in.
Yeah. And like you said, it was all about timing. So Josh Coates said something on his recruiting in the middle of chaos, or in the midst of chaos video, which by the way is in the recruiting coaches file of the bod squad unit section. So good. When are we not in chaos these days, whether it's personally or just as a world? But I loved what he said, that like there's 3 categories of people. One category is you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. It's going to be a Rachel, like they're just going to be ready. Like, yeah, sign me up, which is very rare, but they are out there. And then 2, you could not say the right thing to the wrong person. Like, no matter what you say, no matter how perfectly you say it, no matter how long you've been in sales and been in this business and you have the perfect questions and verbiage, it does not matter. They're never going to join. And then there's the third category of people where they're like the 20% of the categories. And those are the people where if you don't do sales, personal development, how to word conversations, like the mechanics of a combo, you're going to lose them. Like, they're ready, but you just have to have the skills to be able to unpeel that onion and ask the right questions and say the right things so that you help paint the vision for them and help them see the value and connect the dots with, here's your pain points, here's your struggles, here's my solution with my education and my heart, and boom, like you can actually turn those people. So those are 20%. I just thought that was a really cool breakdown because I don't think people see it that way.
That's in the bod units?
Yeah, in the recruiting coaches and building leaders unit section. And it's not, oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Real quick, I couldn't find the Megan White and Ashley Molstad videos that you talked about the other day.
Let me see. Oh, shoot, hold on. Let me look for them. Did you look in the social media unit?
Yeah.
Let me look.
But, yeah.
It should be, I know the Megan White one is under resources for new coaches. It's kind of more of like a basics, but I think it's good for us all to go back to the basics sometimes because we tend to overcomplicate social media as we get going in this biz. So yeah, it should be under resources for new coaches, the Megan White one. Let me look exactly and see what it's called. Attract Your Tribe and Grow Your Business with Megan White in the resources for new coaches. And then let me look at social media. And you guys can talk about other things while I'm looking for this too. Does anyone else know where that video would be? I swear I posted the Ashley Molstad one about like branding. It might be in the social media PDF. Yeah, there it is. So it's in the social media PDF.
Oh.
In the social media unit. I'm looking into taking away the PDFs and just like plopping videos and audios because I think we're all kind of learning autonomy is super important in this business. Having a duplicatable process, but it's not a one size fits all. So instead of saying, this is how I do things, I can just be like, I don't know what's good for you. You need to figure that out for yourself. Go to the unit section. There's a bunch of videos on exactly the million ways to do something. And then find what works best for you. Rinse and repeat it over 90 days to see if it's working, AKA people are signing up, and stick with that. So that's how I'm more so doing things versus keeping things like cut and dry, cookie cutter. But yeah, it's called Building a Brand, Not Just a Business with Ashley Molstad. And there's a bunch of other like how to market / brand yourself to your niche with like Amy Silverman, Bonnie Engel. That video is right below it. And there's a bunch in the Coach Online office under the training tab. I mean, they're everywhere. So
Thank you.
Beachbody Champions page. I mean, we are so overtrained. It's ridiculous.
And that's another thing, like, I feel like I'm talking too much, but with the trainings, like, because I did the Josh Coates, and then we're doing the Dash to Sapphire group. So I'm trying to really like just focus my time on like specific trainings and not overwhelm myself with too much. Because last month I did the Josh Coates one, and then of course he offered another one, but I'm not gonna do it because I want to see what's posted in the Sapphire group and, you know, lean in on that. And then I do the Melanie Mitro's social media chic influencer. But I try to do that just like on Sundays, Saturdays or Sundays. Like I focus my time on that so I can plan out my social media for the week.
Yeah. Connie, how much are you paying? I know this is kind of a personal question, but I think it's important to talk about, you know, delegation and money, because all of us on here want to build a business. And so I think it's good to talk about like those timelines and like, you know, what is a good amount to be spending at what point in the biz. So like, how much have you been spending on, I hate that word, spending, investing into your business?
Well, with the trainings, like the Josh Coates one, that was like $70. And then the Chic Influencer, that's a monthly membership. That's like $25. And I did have my daughter, instead of a virtual assistant, I'm having my daughter help me just with the posting, because that really did take like a couple hours of time. And then with the trainings and everything else I had to do, like it's just kind of giving me like a break.
Yeah.
So I asked it, that was like $15 an hour for 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
My husband's like $15, but but my mind is like, I want to build the business, and then it's tax deductible.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. With the posts that you're having, when you say a couple hours on posts, like what does that all encompass?
The ones that are from Lindsay. Oh, and then I have Plant Your Vineyard membership. That's like $25.
Okay.
So she's adding all that content to the bod groups and my Facebook group. So I did my own Facebook group.
For your challenge group?
Yeah, just because like sometimes I like to go live in there and talk to them.
How many people do you have in that group?
I think right now like 12.
Okay. And does Lindsay schedule out? And you guys, when I'm talking to Connie right now, like pretend like I'm talking to all of you. So when you schedule, or does Lindsay schedule out the post for you, or do you do that?
No, I do that.
Okay.
And that's what now I'm transferring over to my daughter because it would take me forever.
Yeah.
I get distracted with other stuff.
Yeah. So ultimately, that's taking you 2 hours. Is that per day?
No, well, like I would schedule it out either for a week or a month, depending on how much time I have to sit down and do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say here's what I'm going to tell you just based on where you're at in your business right now. And basically, at this point, I personally believe, again, people are free to do what they want, but based on my personal experience, someone who's not Diamond and doesn't have a virtual assistant to actually create that content and schedule it, you should be leeching onto your upline team until you get, in my eyes, enough people to actually have momentum in that challenge group to make it worthwhile. Because 12 people isn't much momentum and so leaning into your upline, and I believe that'd just be the Bod Squad virtual gym, to just filter those 12 people in there. Like, this is what I would do. If I was in your shoes and I was a brand new coach, that's what I would do. Until I was a Diamond coach, had 150 members, whatever, milestone. And until you get to that point where you would use someone like Lindsay or whoever to not only have that content for your group, but to be able to schedule those posts too, because yeah, scheduling takes a lot of time. Like if you calculate that. So, and my goal for a new coach is to honestly minimize, not eliminate completely investment back into your business, but in the beginning, there's just so many free resources out there for you to utilize, you know, and I think just really tapping into that in the meantime is really how I built my business. Like, to be honest, I have barely invested anything into my business in that way. In fact, I waited until I was 5-star and 3 years into my business to get a virtual assistant. Way too long. Don't make that same mistake I did. Like, I wish that right when I hit Diamond, I would have been like, all right, get a virtual assistant for 5 hours a week. And that's what Christina Solon says. She has a training on that actually in the Diamond and Beyond group. It's her video. In that video, she says, all right, now that you've hit Diamond, go and get a virtual assistant for 5 hours a week. And so, yeah. And Connie, feel free to like lean into me and ask me questions, and same with everyone. Like, if you feel kind of lost of what you should be investing in, or, you know, should you be going out to do your own challenge group right now or not? Like, don't make any harsh decisions yet. Just go to your upline and say, hey, here's where I'm at. What do you feel like is best use of my time and money? And we'll tell you, because I don't want to do anyone a disservice, you know? Who's the iPhone user? Who is that? It's like dark. So yeah, such a time saver, leaning into your upline and team for challenge groups. Share the posting love. Yeah.
Brooke, it's Kristen. I'm breastfeeding right now. Sorry.
I was gonna say, I thought that was you. Cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good. I just wanted to make sure I knew who it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Connie, actually, Josh talks about that too, in that recruiting in the midst of chaos video.
Okay, I have to look at that.
Yeah, so I might as well just stop talking about that right now. And once you watch that video, it's towards the end, you're gonna be like, oh my God. It's gonna make a lot of sense. Just the way he says it is like, ah. So.
Write it down.
Yeah. Anything to add on to that, you guys? Anything you've experienced in your business or?
Brooke, I can say is like when I first started as a coach, it was very much like you run a coach with your upline and then you're on your own. I remember at one time as a new coach, I was running 3 groups by myself, and but I would have like maybe 6 people, you know, and it was such a time suck. So we run team-wide challenge groups, but we take turns, like we each take a week, like posting. So we're like having an opportunity to be a leader within our groups, and sharing their responsibilities. So that's really been a good thing for myself and our team.
Yes, I love that. And that also keeps the coaches accountable. It keeps the coaches accountable, and it's just a great way to invite your new coaches to co-host with you to keep them in the game. Because ultimately, you guys, let's get real. Challenge groups, they're for our customers, but they're also for our coaches to become lifers and to stay consistent as well. And they're also for you to find your 5 people who are going to build this business, right? Like it takes 5 people to build a 6-figure income, you know? I saw that happen in my business. It's so true. And when Keith said, the point of running challenge groups is, yes, to help people with their health and fitness, but it's ultimately to find your 5. So challenge groups, yes, are income producing, but not really. They're more so just like this bright, shiny object, time suck. And if you think about all the people like Keith and Christina, when they started 11 years ago, social media wasn't really a thing. Challenge groups for surely weren't a thing. All they had was products. They had like a couple products, and just like, I feel like it was so simple back then. to be able to just recruit, sell. And there weren't all these bright, shiny objects of social media and challenge groups. And I feel like it's just gotten so out of control that I don't blame coaches for being confused and distracted and not sure where to put their time, energy, money type thing. So, but that's my job. And, you know, ultimately the upline job is to just kind of help guide that person to what is right for that person. Rachel, inviting unit in the bod squad is gold, or even just YouTube. Love it. I just posted another national wake up call from last week in the inviting section. Have you guys listened to that? Was it Jolie? What's her last name? I don't even know. It was so good. If you ever have any coach who says, I've run out of people to invite and I don't know where to find people to invite, just be like, dude, go to the unit section. It's right there. It's so good. Yeah. Also, too, you guys, to kind of like paint the bigger picture, some of you have experienced this. Some of you, most of you haven't yet. Don't make the same mistake and you won't experience this. But like, I think Kristen, Kristen was the one to say, like, we basically were like, okay, do your first month as a challenger and then adios, like go start your own. Oh, it was such a bad move. Some coaches in the network do it, but after experience, I'm like, nope. Most coaches quit this business. Like, let's just call it what it is. Most people quit this business. I mean, like I just said, only 1 out of 10 coaches are going to actually do anything with this. And so if you have 9 coaches, the 9 other coaches going off and starting their own challenge groups and taking their people on an island and planting them there away from you, away from the energy, away from the community, away from the momentum, and then that coach quits, and maybe they don't even technically quit, but mentally they're checked out, but maybe they just stay signed up because they want a little extra commission, and so they just keep their coach account active, which will happen, by the way. You lose those people because those people no longer feel supported. They no longer have an active coach in a challenge group, and they will leave you ultimately. Like, they're essentially leaving you, even though you've never talked to those customers in your life. And that's money you've just lost because that's volume. Like, your coach's customers, that's team volume for you. And so if you are just shooing your coaches, 9 out of 10 coaches, like 9 out of 10 coaches, they're not going to do anything, they're going to quit, you're losing all those customers and coaches. So I learned the hard way. I actually just had a bad experience happen 1 to 2 months ago. It was a pretty big deal. And thankfully she quit, like officially put in her cancellation form so that Lindsay, my virtual assistant, could send those inherited customers and coaches an email, bringing them to me, fill out my app. Here's the challenge group link to our challenge group so that if they want to, they at least have a place to join. So, but don't even make that mistake to begin with. I only tell coaches to go off and make a challenge group if I know they're in this forever, they're diamond, and they have a virtual assistant. Like, if they're locked in, I'm like, dude, go and create your own challenge group because it would almost be doing a disservice to your business to not be doing that. Like Nicole Thompson, she's one of those where I was like, you need to be doing your own thing with your girls because you have such a big team that it would be doing a disservice to Nicole's business and Stephanie's business and Allie's business, you know, any of Nicole's coaches, if they were to be leeching it into the virtual gym still, the Bod Squad virtual gym. Nicole, can you do a video about this in Dash to Sapphire? What happens when coaches don't listen to this? Oh my gosh, I have failed forward through literally everything in this business. It's crazy. So there is hope, people. There is hope. Just don't make the same mistake I did and you're good. Oh. It's hard for me to find this balance of do what you want. This is all about autonomy, but here's ultimately what I think you should do. Mentorship can be hard. But it's really only hard when you have the wrong people, because if you have the right person to mentor, it's really not that hard because they're just the person that's like, all right, I'm going to listen to you. You're the expert. I'm not. I'm going to do what you tell me to do. Those are my people, and you'll know when you get one of those. You'll know. If you don't know, then you don't have one. You don't have that person on your team yet. You got the 9 others right now. Nicole, do you want to elaborate on that?
It's something that I talked to you about before. Just like coaches who aren't.
Hi.
Of course, Jenny comes in right as I start talking. No, just coaches that aren't ready to like branch off on their own. Like I'm talking not even Emerald yet, and they're like creating their own island and like trying to run challenge groups. Even though I feel like I've kind of beaten a dead horse with like lean into us. Like I have Lindsay schedule our challenge group posts. Like you would be silly not to provide your girls with this value because you're not posting these amazing posts that we're getting within our group. Like, and their time suck. I remember spending like seriously hours every Sunday scheduling out posts. Like that's not where income producing activities are. So I just like always trying to navigate that. Like obviously you can tell a person, recommend, like suggest, and it's up to them, and we're not responsible for their success especially if they're not listening or like taking our leadership and mentorship. But yeah, I guess that's where I'm at. Because I have like 2 girls right now that I'm like, wait a second, are you like running your own groups? Or like what's going on?
Yes, it's hard. It's hard. Those like in-betweeners. But yeah, Jenny, so cute. What else is on your hearts? Hillary, were you going to say something earlier? I saw you unmute yourself. I don't know if anything was covered, but oh, for some reason I can't hear you. Can you guys hear her? No. Yeah, I can't hear you. It's so weird. I love how she's just like, get out of here. You can always put in the chat thread too if it's not working. Oh my gosh, this water jug is catching up to me. I'm like, I'm gonna pee my pants. Yeah, that is weird because I think it was working. I thought I heard something. Anything else, guys? I'm trying to think of any other updates. Oh, thanks to Nicole for messaging me that the event page, did anyone else try to click on the event page for the France team call tomorrow night? Did it work for you or not? Allie says no. Anyone else try it? They must have put in the settings where only people that oh, it worked for you, Lacey? That is so weird. That is so weird. I don't even know what that would be then. Anyways, I'm going to find the Zoom link and I'll post it either tonight or tomorrow. I'll message Christina Solons or Lisa Mohage. They're both running it together and it's tomorrow night. I think it's like 8 p.m. Eastern. I can't remember. But so yeah, I'll post that. I'll just post the direct Zoom link. What else? Ooh, now that I have you guys on here, so I'm updating, now that I've done the mentorship process for a year, hardcore, I've seen what I like, what I don't like, some flaws in the system. One thing that I think we need to make very, very clear with people that we mentor is that this is not just for you to learn, it's meant for us to build a business together. I think a lot of people take the mentorship process as like, all right, let me crack myself a beer and just like take notes and then, and it's not that. It is, but it's not that. And so there's that. But also, I think the mentorship template kind of makes it sound like, all right, congratulations, you've completed the mentorship for 4 weeks. And like, I don't know when we'll talk next. But I think just really setting up those like bi-weekly calls, like maybe setting up bi-weekly calls beyond those 4 weeks to keep the mentorship going. And then after a certain while, like with me and Nicole, we essentially do like monthly calls, you know? So like, even though Nicole Thompson is like rocking her biz and she's basically independent, she like, her and I still do like oil changes, like just a maintenance program to just connect on like a friendship level and to just talk on a higher level about leadership and mentorship, because the more successful you get, the more problems, quote unquote, you have, or the more fires you have to put out, and mentorship becomes a little bit more complex. And so we always need each other to be sounding boards. So that mentorship should never go away. Fires and boundaries. Yes. Kristen, thoughts on group mentorship calls? Kristen, paint that vision for me a little bit more of what you're kind of picturing. I don't know if you can.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So like, just depending on where people are at their business and like their level, like, you know, emeralds or diamonds, you know, they're all doing like, I think it's like in the last chapter of F leadership, instead of doing like one-on-one calls, doing more group leadership, people that are actually like working towards, you know, kind of having like a tracking system, you know, for people to kind of, not say per se earn a mentorship call, but just, you know, how many hours you can spend on mentorship calls versus doing like a small group.
So yeah, when I was reading that book, it's so interesting because when I read that chapter, I think it was the first week of our Dash to Sapphire group. And so what you're describing is the Dash to Sapphire group, essentially.
Okay.
So yeah, but in terms of like true mentorship, I don't, because I have tried that. And what tends to happen is like, you don't really get to someone's core. And a lot of times, most of the time, 2 people or 3 people or 4 people, 5 people especially, like as that number gets higher, oh crap, why is my battery running low? Hold on. Okay, hopefully it's plugged in. As you get more and more people are always going to be at different places in their business. And so, yeah, like even something like this, it's good to have, but I would never not do one-on-one mentorship with each and every single one of you if you're like wanting to make a full-time income with this, you know?
Okay.
Just because every person is so different, like every person struggles and whatever is so different.
I can see that. I like that.
Mm-hmm. It's just a little bit more intimate, and I feel like people feel like they can actually open up about certain things.
We did start like push pods, like an emerald push pod, a sapphire push pod, and a diamond push pod, which has been pretty helpful.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, if you guys haven't read F Leadership by Josh Coates, totally do that. And then a book that I'm starting that I know a lot of us are getting right now is Good Leaders Ask Great Questions by John C. Maxwell. And Allie, you nodded your head. Did you start that one?
Great. I want to finish F Leadership first, but I do have it. I'm super excited to read it.
Yes, that's awesome. Connie just held up her book. Cool. I love it. Yeah, Sabrina over the last couple of weeks was just sending me screenshot upon screenshot upon screenshot every single day. And I was like, oh my gosh, every person needs to read this because this business is all about question asking, you know? Like with Connie, like, you know, when I asked you the question of how many coaches have you recruited? Like if I didn't ask that question, I would have been mentoring you in a way that you don't need to be mentored, you know? Like I would have wasted so much time when really it's just super simple. You just haven't found your people yet. There you go. So what else? Naomi's just hustling and bustling over there, probably making dinner. Nothing. Hold on, let me just make sure I don't have anything else. Are you guys feeling really good about just the duplicatable process, duplicable, whatever? Do you feel like good about the systems in place? Is there any feedback you can give me for things we could improve? Just any feedback, positive or constructive, would be awesome if you have anything.
I really loved that updated coach conversation guide that you did, Brooke.
Yeah.
I felt like that was super easy, super like condensed and direct. And I loved that kind of layout. So that was so positive.
Good. That's awesome. I love that thing. I also did recently update the GSR call template, not in the Bod Squad yet, but I put it in the Diamond and Beyond files. It's not all pretty or anything, like Lindsay will make it all pretty, but I did update that because I watched a Christina Sullins training from her coach camp 4 months ago of getting new coaches to win. And freaking loved that. We were doing a lot of the stuff that she was talking about, but some of the stuff we were like overcomplicating, and she just does a really good job at simplifying the GSR call process and just really everything. And yeah, it was really cool to get some ideas of how to just make the process better and to just get our new coaches to have more wins and to really feel connected to us. So Nicole, you used the GSR call template today. How'd it go?
Yeah, we did. It was good. It was the first time I ever used it. So I was like looking at it like, okay, I did that. I mean, I felt like it went really well. I liked at the beginning how you started with like really listen to them and like hear their vision. Cause I think it's easy to like rush through and like do all of the things. So that was nice to take the time to do that.
Good. Yeah, and one thing that Christina said that I really loved is you have them set their goal dates. You are sharing your story and your vision for future just to merely paint the vision of what's possible, like just show them the possibilities of this, of what you've accomplished, big or small, and what you want to accomplish, because it's relatable. Like even if you're a brand new coach, or like you've only been in this for 6 months, but you're a little bit more independent with the GSR call process, but maybe you haven't had like super duper big wins, you're still able to say like, this is what I've accomplished so far, but here's what I'm going to accomplish with this opportunity. Or here's what Brooke Orchard accomplished, Nicole Thompson, like whoever you want to share, and just really painting the picture for them. Like just picture a blank canvas and you're just drawing a picture of what's possible. And then you just go into goal creation. Okay, now that you see what's possible, how much would you like to earn per week? 1 year from now, what would you need to earn per week to treat this like a real business or to make this a real business in order for you to go all in? And then I love just the income potential chart of just showing them that. Like I literally show them that on the call and break that down with them so that they know that, 2-star diamond, okay, cool. I don't need to know about that right now, but I'm going to do training on that and figure it out. So have you guys all seen that template? Let me pull it up here, and then we'll hop off here because I don't want it to be too long. Okay, where'd it go? Okay, I'm a total sapphire. I have like a million tabs open. So this is it. I'm just going to kind of go over some key things that are a little bit different. It's going to depend on if you have a runner or a jogger, walker. If you have a runner, someone who wants to make a full-time income, you're going to probably be on the call for about an hour. If, down here, you get to the point of, how much do you need to earn 1 year from now? how much would you like to earn per week? You know, how would that positively impact your family's life? Well, you know, I just want to make some fun money and get my products paid for. You're going to cut that call to like 20 minutes because you don't need to go in depth with a person who just wants a couple $100 extra a month to go to Target. You know, like it's just, they don't need you to the degree that someone does who wants to make 50K by this time next year. This is something that I'm going to be doing that I was not being consistent with, sending them a handwritten card, this PD book. You can send whatever you want, but honestly, I would send that. I've read that book. It's really good. It's like a smaller mini version of GoPro. It's like jam-packed, even shorter version. And I feel like it's a little bit more updated because it was written, I think, a couple years ago. I personally am going to send like a coach decal with their name. You could maybe wait and do that when they turn Emerald. It's just really up to you. Or maybe just with people who want to make a full-time income. It's just really up to you, but I highly recommend sending them something. And samples of products they didn't buy, perhaps. Make sure you get their new Coach About Me form before the call, and make sure that your upline coach has that too, because you're probably going to do 3-way calls. And just make sure you have their master list. Don't even schedule the call unless you get that master list from them, because that master list is everything. Christina talks hardcore about that. What else? But yeah, these questions are critical. I should like highlight these. They're critical. You have zero clue how to lead them if you don't know the answers to those questions. And then this, you can either share this or just like save the image to your desktop and then pull up the image and share your screen just like I'm sharing right now. That's what I do. I share my screen just like this on a GSR call. And I say, okay, you want to make this by this time next year, that's 2-star diamond. You know, what do you want to, when do you want to achieve 2-star diamond by? And so you're kind of letting them create their goal date. If someone says, you know, short term, I want to go diamond in 5 months, and they want to make like a full-time income with this, it would be a disservice to them, and you're leading them horribly if you do not say, actually, you can do way quicker than that. You know, Stephanie Estridge just hit diamond in 50 days, 50. And no diamond goal should be set for beyond 90 days. Like diamond can absolutely happen in people's first 90 days if they're going all in. What else? If you guys have any questions about this, just post in the chat thread. This is crucial. This is crucial. That's crucial. Build their top 10 list. Trying to think of anything else. I kept a lot of the expectations from the old GSR call template, but I took out a couple of them just because I noticed that I wouldn't really say them on previous calls, or I would like group them together. And then the action plan. I'm trying to think of anything that's really different. This is different. Get to our next live event. So right now I'm hardcore talking about Summit and having them schedule Summit and get that in their planner. Just Christina talks a lot about how in this business, it's friendship and it's just getting people to live events, because it's at those live events that people have their aha moments. So if they're reading 10 pages a day and growing and they get to the next live event, that's going to just keep them around so that over time they grow into that person that we've talked about, the person that they need to become in order to have success. And also this assures that you're helping them get their first couple of wins, because if a new coach, Christina talks about this too, if a new coach does not see success or have a couple signups in their first month, they gone. I think we're all kind of like that, right? So that it's essentially your job to assure that they're getting their first wins. And this template really helps you do that. Like beyond this template, you guys, be connecting with your coaches every day who are wanting to make a full-time income with this. Just touch them, whether it's a friendship level or share a quote, or don't inundate them with trainings, but you know, whatever's on your heart, like just be a freaking friend. I love what Christina says. She's like, you're not just looking for leaders, you are creating lifers. And so most people beyond this GSR call are not going to do shit. They're just not. That's not the point of this GSR call, really, for most. Like, this is just to help create their vision, create their fire, figure out for you how to lead them, and then it helps you sort and sift people so that you know exactly where to put your time. And but you're touching those people who aren't really serious about the business, but just as a friend, and just getting them to the next live event, just encouraging personal development, encouraging them, just showing up in the challenge group and having them focus on their journey so that they can just start stacking that belief and that skill set. Encouraging the national wake-up call. Those are fire. Just having them hear people's stories. That is fire. Because those are like their light bulb moments. That's where they're going to have their light bulb moments, and that's all that matters. Any questions, you guys? Kind of goes over some side notes. This is where you can listen to Christina Solin's training that I listened to that made me want to change this template a little bit. So I highly encourage you to do that, because she goes way more in depth about like how to know what kind of person you're talking to so you don't scare them off. Like, it's awesome. I love her so much. Stop share. Any questions, you guys?
So when you are doing that GSR call, and like they are like somebody that just wants to like be a hobby coach, or like maybe make enough to like save for a vacation, what things do you just like drop from that call then?
Oh, like to keep it short?
Yeah.
Let me pull it up and just kind of go over, or I can share my screen again here. Hold on a second. Let me share my screen because I'm super visual too. Okay, so I would essentially, like, you're gonna go over the income potential. Like, you just won't go that in depth with someone. It's just gonna be a little bit less. Where someone who is running with this thing, I might share with them my heart a little bit more, just a lot of mindset things to help them, like such as, this is not your traditional business where you get paid for the hours that you put in, where you clock in, you clock out, like just little things like that just come to my heart, come to my mind. I might pour into that person a little bit more with that. But really like getting anyone's top 10 list is super important. So like, this essentially all is something you would talk about with a walker, jogger, or a runner, but you would just go more in depth and like take a little bit longer to cover these things with a runner. Yeah, I mean, it's all good stuff to cover, but I remember Christina just saying, just get their fire, like figure out what their goals are so that you know how to lead them to, and so that they leave the call pumped up. And then just get their top 10 list and just help them get their first couple of wins, because this led to her saying, and I've seen this happen, where if you can just get that person who maybe is struggling to see the big picture right now, if you get them their first couple of wins and their first paycheck reflects $30, $100, $150, $200, whatever it is, they start to be like, what? I made that in my first week and I barely did crap. Like, what? They start to see like, wow, this thing could really become big. And that's honestly how I became what I became. I initially started this just wanting to pay off my student loans with this opportunity. Like, if I could have an extra $500 a month to just have as my debt detonator, that's awesome. I made $500 my first month, and that got me thinking like, oh my God, this is my first month. Like, imagine what 5 years could be. And I was tuning into the National Wake Up Call. And so I would hear all these different stories, and it just compounded. And I got so excited, and I started dreaming bigger and bigger and bigger. I was learning, I was applying, I was having success, and it was just building. And that's really what happens. Most people don't start this business wanting to make a full-time income with this. They just don't. Most people will start this and go full on later on, as maybe they have a baby, or years have gone by and they get urgent in their job because they lost it. Like, it just really depends on the individual. And so that's why she says friendship is everything. Friendship is first, because if you don't foster that friendship, you're going to lose those people. Anyways, I could talk forever about this topic, but it's something that I struggled with. And I think that's why I'm so passionate about it, is because I sucked at that piece. I just was like, you're not a runner? Okay, screw you. And it's still hard for me because I have so many people that I could potentially touch. But for anyone who's starting out who barely has any business builders, maybe your people barely have people, you're at such an advantage right now because you're learning boundaries, you're learning how to sort and sift people, you're learning to not forget about those people who are walking so you don't lose them, you know? Hopefully I could save you guys some agony. Bye, Naomi. I don't know if she hopped off. My mind and goals have changed so much. So thankful you haven't given up on me. Oh, I love you, Hillary. I love you. Yeah, I mean, Hillary, you're a perfect example of just like, I just kept touching you, and I could have done a better job probably, but I just did what I could, and I got to be more organized. But yeah, I really do feel like that's why you're back too, is because you felt that support. So good. All right, guys, I'm going to pee my pants for real. Can we get a picture? Yes. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. That might be really shitty lighting. I love you guys. Put in your calendar 2 weeks from now for our next call.
Thanks, Brooke.
Welcome. Bye, guys.